But that back in the days, that'd be me.
Stop in front of this old Stanley steamer real quick. Let me show you this thing. Yeah, that's what everybody thinks of. But this was the first Stanley steamer.
It's got a mirror.
Back
Trying
before,
to break it.
right as they were starting to invent internal combustion engines that ran on gasoline, everybody used kerosene in America. We used kerosene for lamps. We used kerosene for stoves. And the Stanley brothers, who were born here in Maine, said, "Wow, I bet we can run a car off kerosene." And they made this steam-powered car that runs off of kerosene. Gasoline in those days was a waste product. They used to burn it to get rid of it.
What?
Well, they didn't have internal combustion engines. And finally somebody said, "Well, we could probably use this stuff too." And they came up with that.
Black
But
pipe, awesome.
this thing runs off kerosene, and it's an incredibly smooth riding engine, I'm told, that would go up to close to 100 miles an hour, these things. There's only one huge disadvantage with them, especially if you're like in an emergency or responding type vehicle, is you have to light the kerosene boiler and wait about 15 minutes for the steam to build up. Just like a train, it takes a few minutes for the steam to build up. But once it does that, they go quite fast and they can carry quite a bit of weight. And there was a very good vehicle. But then the gasoline became cheaper, and it was just easier to do that than it was to mess with these things. Because you have to do a lot of maintenance on a steam boiler. It requires all kinds of valves, controls to operate. And even gasoline engines back in the old days used to be a lot more complicated. We don't have time to do it today, but when you come back, you'll have a chance to sit in this old REO vehicle here, and there's like a spark control. You had to control the spark of your spark plugs and all these other kinds of things to make your engine run properly. Nowadays, that's all done by either in older vehicles, points and condensers, and nowadays by computers. Okay. Coming on around. Now here's today's ultimate trivia question. You guys see this REO vehicle here? It's a company called the Rio Company.
It's got a ladder and steps.
No? Have you ever heard of an Oldsmobile? That stands for Russell E. Olds. And that was his initials. He started this company, and then he decided to sell it, and then he went and founded Oldsmobile to compete with his company he sold, which I'm sure these folks weren't pleased about. Okay? So coming right down this way,
Hey, it's a police officer, I think.
yep, that's an old state police motorcycle.
Wait, were they the first ones to use motorcycles?
They were among the first, yeah, back in the 1920s.
Oh, wow, that one's
Now,
awesome.
this particular area, this is where guys who are my age come in here and start drooling. We have to put bibs on them because they get all excited about these motorcycles. Because we do have some really cool motorcycles. This is one of the most famous manufacturers and one of the most valuable ones we have. It's called the Indian Motorcycle Company. They built thousands of these for soldiers back in the 1930s. The U.S. Army still had horse cavalry at that time. We were still had guys riding around on horses, and they said, well, let's try it on motorcycles and see how that works out. And so they built the motorcycles. A lot of guys did use motorcycles in World War II, not for the purpose they were originally intended. They found out Jeeps were a far better tool for that purpose. But the motorcycles still got a lot of use, and they're very valuable nowadays. You see that you have everything in this museum that can carry you over land. It's called the Land Transportation Museum. We've got everything from a pair of sneakers up there back to that locomotive and everything in between. So we've got all kinds of antique bicycles and carriages and toys and all kinds of stuff that involve transportation.
Wow. A wooden bike. Yeah. Oh, there it is, there it is. That's the bike. That's bike history right there. That little one.
Go forward.
I'm taking a video.
All right, a couple things to show you here. One is this old wooden plow. Remember, this is what I talked about. They used to use these sort of things before the tractors. A lot more time consuming, took a lot more effort to produce food for everybody. But one of the other cool problem-solving things they came up with was this device. Can any of you tell me what this was used for? Have you ever seen anything like it? This big orange thing.
Carrying.
Come on down, gather up.
Carrying food, I guess.
With hay? Not necessarily. Other than that, might have been its primary fuel. Yeah, I really confused it. No, but it served a similar function. What's that? You can use horses. This particular was kind of small for horses, but what this is a power generator. Nowadays, if you want power, you go out and you crank up the generator, right? This thing, you could use it on any farm anywhere, and what they would do is they would, on this particular size, when they put a donkey or a goat or something like that in there, or a small horse, and they put some carrots up at the front. And the thing would start walking towards the carrots.
It's like a treadmill.
Exactly. That's what it is a treadmill. And look over here. Here's how it works as a generator. You see this belt that's attached to the treadmill? And it makes it turn that wheel, which in turn grinds corn. Or it can turn a power saw like that one over there. It can do all kinds of stuff. But it was a portable power generator. If you ever have the chance to go to the Sheldon Museum in Vermont, they have massive ones. They used to put oxen in. And these things could do they could grind rocks with these things. They were so massive. And they can do all kinds of power things with them. But that's a power generator. And another incredible way people solve problems. Now, this is the one all the teenage boys like, the young guys, was the hearses. Everybody has a story about the hearses. But this is what a lot of people took their last ride in. Yeah, they would put your coffin in there and they give you a ride to the cemetery and then they bury it.
Well, that'd be sad.
One of the things that you notice about this, look how small that is. People have actually kind of gotten bigger over time. Back in the days when they used these, people were smaller.
I thought it was starting
Yeah, that's a little more modern version. That's from the 60s and 70s. Come gather around this wagon here. There's a really cool thing I want to show you about this thing.
Oh yeah. That's it right there, man.
Yeah, I like this stuff.
Not like my own kid. I
It's
do
another
this.
hearse. Oh, baby. That one's mine.
Yeah, have somebody suddenly open the curtains and pop out. That's a good idea. We should do that.
No.
I hadn't thought of that till then.
Do it just as long as I'm not
Okay.
here.
So check this thing out over here.
Woo, baby, look at this.
Come over here. Back over this way. I have something really cool to show you. All right, so nowadays when you go to the Walmart or the Hannaford's to buy something, what does it come in?
A bag?
A package of some sort, a cardboard box, a plastic jug, or whatever. Once upon a time in the not-so-distant past, up until about the 1930s and 40s when you bought something, it came in a wooden barrel or it came in a wooden box. Well, both are kind of heavy depending on what's in it. You know, they used to ship like liquids and stuff in barrels, so those are really, that could weigh like 600 pounds. Well, you dip it with a cup or things like that. Well, you know, people weren't as sanitary. I'll tell you, if you ever go look at a cemetery, and, well, I mean, there's a serious point to this. If you look at a cemetery from about the 1940s backwards, you will see a lot of tiny head bones. Because a lot of kids died because they weren't sanitary. And because they had diseases they weren't able to treat as well. So you guys are lucky to be born at the time you are. But because people solve problems, here's one of the cool problem-solving things this guy came up with. This guy has these 600-pound barrels of whatever he's been loading all day, and he got tired of it. He said, man, my back's killing me. I got to come up with a better solution. So what he did was he redesigned the axle on this wagon. If you look down here where it comes out, it doesn't come straight out to the wheel. It has this little thing. He bent a piece of steel and made the wheel come out. And look where the wagon sits in relation to the ground. So now, instead of lifting this stuff all the way up here into the wagon, he's only got to come up that high. So he's not nearly as tired at the end of the day. Very, very clever piece of problem solving. Let's go all the way back to those benches, and if you would have a seat on those for just a moment. No more so than normal.
Little town. Little town.
You're videotaping me.
Oh, you're gonna get in the way then, Alex.
What? A video
Tanya,
theater in
enjoying
actual
the
rain?
scene. ¿Estás
Go ahead and have a seat on
disfrutando
here
la
for me real
silla?
quick.